Hello everyone. I just wanted to record a bunch of tips video for beginners, because I am an intermediate player. I'm not advanced or anything, but there's just some tips that I've learned over the past year or so that a lot of people didn't teach me when, at least at the very beginning of owning an acoustic set, because I came from V drums. So there's big differences. So I'm going to give you some extra tips for taking care of your drum set. So let's start with ones for the heavier drummers. So this is the head that I just had this is the beater side of my bass drum that I just had to take out. So this is a Remo Power Stroke, which is supposed to be a very popular brand, but yeah, it only lasted a couple months, which it might have lasted longer if I had two of these protectors here, but even that one doesn't look like it was doing too hot. But yeah, so tip one for anyone who plays hard is get a thick beater side drum head. You don't need to worry about your resonance side, because that one doesn't have a whole lot going on. But this beater side is very important, and it's gonna wear out eventually. It's like the guitar strings of the drum set. What I have on there now is, I just put it on there today, is a Evans Industrial Red, which looks pretty cool with my blue. It just kind of sucks that, can't have it for the whole set because it's expensive to do that. And then, so, tip one, thick beater. Tip two, make sure you have protection pads, especially for both of your bass drums if you have a double bass drum, because you can see the crack here went all the way around the protection pad. So the protection pad did pretty good. Next thing for hard rock players, do not use Zildjian eye cymbals. My 16-inch has cracked twice. I had sent it back and it is cracked again. And this is my hi-hat, which cracked, which interestingly, every time these eye cymbals have cracked, it's been right over this made by seal, which I've marked it with marker, the crack, so that it's more obvious. Or made in, whatever, something like that. It's made in, okay. So, but yeah, they've cracked in the same spot, always faulted there, don't understand why. But yeah, I would just say don't buy those. I've been working on my technique to try and not break my cymbals, but with those I don't know what to do. The only one that hasn't broken out of my cymbal pack, because it came with my set, this is the very first set I've ever owned, and it's the ride cymbal. And the ride cymbal probably survived because you're not sitting there, you're not really hitting it that much, and you're doing it typically pretty lightly, even for rock. So what is replaced? The cymbals, for now. I don't know how long they're going to last or how well they're going to work, but we have Meinl HCS bronzes. Make sure you get bronze cymbals and not brass cymbals, because brass cymbals will break very quickly. And then for the crash, it's an S. Zildjian S. I've lost faith in Zildjian a little bit, but found this for a good price. So I just went with it. And then for my 18-inch, this is a Sabian B8. People say it, I've heard people say that these aren't good, but I've seen no issues, and it's taken a beating. It looks like it's all dinged up, and this is how I got it used for $50, and I've kind of beaten it up a little bit, and it hasn't cracked once. This thing has outlasted like basically two of those Zildjian I 16 inches. Make sure to frequently check in between every song. You should tighten. You should check this part, obviously, but what you always want to do is you want to make sure you tighten up this nut right here, because that comes loose on me all the time because of the vibrations. You should make sure to try and have your cymbals higher up from your toms, because when you eventually get to the recording studio, I used to have my cymbals like all the way almost touching it, while having it in a little room so that they wouldn't hit. But when you get to the studio, you're gonna have microphones hanging over or off the sides or something, and you don't want the cymbals to bleed onto the mics, which it's gonna inevitably happen a little bit probably, but you want to try and avoid it as much as possible. Another tip for metal players is you want to try and get either a China cymbal or a trash crash. These things are pretty good. These Meinls, this is another HCS, but I think this is a bronze, or not bronze, a brass one, because it doesn't say bronze on it anywhere, at least I don't think. This one's the same one. Oh, that one is bronze. Is this one bronze? No. So this one's probably brass. But this one's bronze. This is the Trash Splash. Splash cymbals are just usually smaller ones, if you don't know. But yeah, this is a 16-inch Trash Crash. And the difference between that and a China cymbal is that a China cymbal is able to resonate more because it's a solid metal. It's like if you've ever seen the low volume cymbals, they have all the little holes in it. I'm pretty sure the reason it's low volume is because it can't resonate because of all the holes. So this just has a shorter note. And yeah, this is what I got instead of a China, but I haven't tried a China before, so I don't know which one I actually prefer, but this one's pretty good. I like it. It's a neat sound. So another tip is to make sure there's no collisions happening on your toms, especially if you have a bass drum mounted tom, because see there, it's mounted off the bass drum. So before, since I was trying to make the kit as tight as possible, I had these way lower, and since this has moved a little bit since I put this head on, but this was over here because this came from here, and this was resting right on top of it, and every time I'd hit it, it would dig into it a little more. There's also a gnarly dig happening over there, which I don't know what came from, so that's a little annoying, because as far as I know, I didn't do that. So another tip is that when I'm playing, I forget a lot of the time to even bother with my bottom heads. I tune the top heads, but I forget the bottom heads. Now, the reason that I don't bother with my bottom heads is also because personally I like lower tunings. So I like my toms almost pretty much dead, at least these two. So at least for my metal, metal kit, whatever. So, because when I pulled these off, because I pulled everything off and cleaned it and then retuned it, I practiced today, and I actually didn't like the sound that I was getting, because what I was doing was I was using the Rob Beatdown. I forgot his last name, but I was using his tuning method of just pushing down on the on your skin, or whatever you call it, and then just turning it until you get rid of the wrinkles. And I actually didn't like that. I didn't like the tuning I got from that, because it resonates more, not as dead, not as low. I mean, it depends on what kind of drummer you are in general, but just remember to tune these and try and keep track of your tuning pegs, because these get lost. I purposefully have these ones out. I have 3 of them out, so I have one here, here, and here, and I have it on that one as well. Keep them on my snare, and this is just because I like the lower sound, that I find it's easier to keep track of the tuning with 3 pegs. So that's another tip. I don't know if it's a bad tip, but optional tip. So another one I got is make sure you cover up your drums, because my drums were getting pretty dusty. I live out in Arizona, so yeah, things get pretty dusty out here. It wasn't that bad, surprisingly, but on top of here is where it accumulates the most, and you get a lot of gunk and trash on the edges and underneath your pedal. At least when you keep it out here in the garage. Which leads me to another tip is stay hydrated. I have a bunch of water bottles that I just don't pick up, and if you're out in the garage, make sure you don't overheat. We installed this air conditioner thing because in the scalding 100 degree heat, I will actually die out here. So, you know, don't want that to happen. Or at least, you know, you'd think. So these are majority of the tips that I thought of. If I think of any more, I will try and post them as shorts. Please subscribe for that. We also do gear. I do gear reviews for guitars, for guitar pedals, and possibly other stuff. It all depends on what I can get my hands on. I'd like to do more drum stuff, but drums are one of the most expensive instruments on the market, so it's kind of hard to get a hold of that kind of gear. So for now, this is Bozeman 12, and I'm gonna say bye-bye.